I lived in a city where neighborhoods and forests kind of blend together. There is plenty of wooded areas where people go to have bonfires and parties. One night, after discovering that all of our usual spots were crowded with people, I suggested we go to a spot that I had been to a few times nearby. I had been there multiple times, but only during the day. So we walk in, start a bonfire, and we're all having a good time. Some of us are drinking and smoking a bit, myself included. About 45 minutes pass and I'm a little intoxicated, but nothing major. And over the sound of our quiet music and my friends talking, I hear something odd. I can't make out what it is, so I figure maybe I'm just hearing things. Maybe another 10 minutes go by and I hear it again. A little better this time. It still sounds relatively far away, but it sounds like Velcro tearing. I stop and just kind of sit there trying to listen while my friends carry away, laughing and talking. They haven't seemed to notice, and that's when I heard a sound I was very familiar with. A zapping noise, like you hear from a taser. Very brief but unmistakable. My stomach drops, and I started looking around a little frantically. My girlfriend at the time was the first to notice my distress. She asked me what's wrong, and I explain, and she immediately starts worrying. She gets my friends to quiet down, and we all just sit there and listen for a bit. Then we all hear it. An electric zap, brief again, but we all know that sound. We all start panicking a bit, and we quickly put out the fire while asking each other what the fuck that was or where exactly it was coming from. We're all scared to walk out. It's only maybe a 5-minute walk to the street, but it's dark. We all muster the courage to finally walk the path out, and we don't run into anyone. We finally get to the street and start walking to our cars, nervously laughing and relishing being under street lamps again. I see him first. He's walking towards us, not at us. Just walking in the direction we just came from, slightly to the right of us. He's holding a stick of some sort. It scared me at first, but for a brief second I calmed myself. But then I notice he's looking right at us. That stare is burned into my mind. We pass each other. My friends and I are all silent as we're having this stare down with this random man. And that's when it happened. He doesn't break eye contact, holds up the pole and smiles, this creepy fucking smile. His eyes are open so wide. The end of the stick lights up bright, and that same zapping sound happens again. Much louder this time. He's holding a fucking cattle prod. We live in a city, no farmland nearby. No reason to have a cattle prod. My friends and I are silently shitting ourselves as he walks past us, maybe 20 feet away, and goes straight into the woods without a flashlight or anything. We all got into our cars and peeled out of there. We never went back to that spot. I was at the gym around 10 p.m. Because I worked all day and my gym stays open all night. I was casually working out as I always have. Out of nowhere, this very short Hispanic guy comes out of nowhere and asks me what I'm doing later. Thinking this is very odd, I decided to ignore him and act like I couldn't hear him because of my headphones. He kept asking me but eventually left. When I finished my workout, I went into the locker room to get my keys and check myself out in the mirror. As I entered the locker room, the guy was sitting on the bench staring at me, like watching my every move. So I skip looking at myself in the mirror and grab my keys and go to the bathroom, quick. I can see he starts to follow me as I head to the urinal, so I quickly resort to a stall. When I left the stall, he is still staring at me from the urinal. I ignore him and start leaving the gym, but he still follows me. Once again, he asks me what I'm doing tonight and what my name is, but this time I couldn't pretend to not hear him, so I just said, "Sorry man, I'm not interested," and then quickly got to my car and drove away. A week later, I had work again this day, so I was at the gym around 10 p.m. and everything was normal. I was working out, saw some friends, and then I see the same guy from a week ago staring at me while laying against an empty wall. I try to ignore him, but every machine or workout I do, he starts to follow me. I stayed by some friends so he would hopefully not come near me. When those friends left, so did he, so I thought I was safe. I get my stuff together and head out around 11:30. At this point, my phone had died. I was a little worried, but then I started to freak out. Because when I approached my car, there was a rose in my truck's handle. I actually started to run and went back in to get assistance from someone working, because I didn't feel like dying that day. After removing it, I sped home as fast as I could. A few days after, I had a normal workout, didn't see him till I went to my truck. He was parked right next to me, standing in front of his car. While I got in, I could see him watching me the whole time. Now every time I go late at night, he's waiting for me and asking me weird questions. I talked to the workers about this and they said he's not from here and he's just trying to be nice. But I can't help but wonder why he doesn't get the hint when I tell him no all the time. I wake up hours early in the morning to go to the gym now, but when I go late, he's still there watching me every time. I used to work at a pizza place in my hometown. The job sucked in many ways, but the worst part about it was that my manager had no problem leaving girls alone to close. Granted, the town I grew up in was small and boring, and many people left their doors unlocked, but I still thought it was risky. On this particular night, I was closing the shop alone at around 10. The last thing I had to do on my way to my car was take the garbage out. The dumpster as well as my car were located on the side of the building. While I was making my way to the dumpster, I immediately noticed a man making his way towards me from across the shop's parking lot. He's wearing jeans and a black sweatshirt, and he had some sports cap on. Right off the bat, my heart dropped and I got incredibly nervous. I threw the trash away and began speed walking to my car when this guy says something. "You got a cigarette?" My paranoia told me that question was sketchy as hell, and I struggled to respond for a moment. I just said no and got to my car, quickly trying to get in. And I shit you not, as soon as I closed my door, he came running to my car and tried to open it. Thankfully, I had the doors locked. I instantly started crying and turned my car on. The man clubbed my window with his fists a few times, without a word, before suddenly running away into the nearby streets. I called my mom and then the police once I got home, and they opened up a small investigation but could never find the guy. There were no other cases of something like this happening somewhere else in town, and so I think he probably relocated somewhere else to avoid being caught. I really have no clue what that man wanted to do, but I surely don't want to know.